Hey guys, this is AI Gaming 1776, and I have The Witcher 3 on launch day, and I am playing it right now with the GTX 960. I actually made a video of the GTX 970 earlier. I spent a lot of time around that windmill that you see over there when I was making that video. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a GTX 960, then this game will look pretty good for you in 1080p. Right now, in the upper right-hand corner, it looks like we're getting 60 frames per second, but that can go way down into the low 40s, all right? With the 960, it's going to be a little bit erratic, whereas with the 970, you can just about max the game out with the 970 and keep 60 frames per second. Just about. You do have to turn some things down, but it is remarkable just how high you can go with the settings with the 970 and keep a really good frame rate. So, if you want my impression of the game so far, I would say this is like the best Zelda game ever. And the game's only been out for 6 hours, so of course I can't say it's the best anything ever. However, it really strikes me as what Zelda would look like if Nintendo made it on PC. So, let's talk about some things. When you have, and you can't do it with the 960, but when you have the terrain on Ultra, stuff like this looks really good. Like these little rock and sand sections, and the sand looks a little bit grittier. But even with the 970, if I remember correctly, you will not see footprints in the sand. Which, oh wait a minute, there's footprints right now. That's interesting, because earlier I was in a part where there were not footprints. Alright, so strike that. There is the possibility to see footprints. Alright, there's that windmill. We're going to make our way over there. So, let me show you the settings real quick. And I'm going to show you those first for a reason, because I need to talk to you about why I chose them. And I'm going to show you through the gameplay why I chose them. But, you go to video. Let me show you the settings. So the graphical fidelity is split up in two sections, post-processing and graphics. So let's start with graphics. I've not done the presets. Okay, I messed around with the GTX 970, then loaded the game up again with the same settings I had from the 960, and obviously the 960 couldn't do it. So what I did was I tried to get it as close to the 970 experience as I could with the 960. All right. So background characters is high. The reason being is if you have it lower than high, people will materialize from thin air in front of you. Like human beings will pop up in front of you as you ride your horse by. It breaks immersion a lot. To me, something like lower shadow quality doesn't break the immersion as much as having human beings materialize out of thin air in front of me. Terrain quality is actually on high, so I'm kind of surprised that the cliff and the beach, it's not really a cliff, but you know, that little thing I was standing in front of, I'm surprised it did not look better on high. I really am. I thought it must have been lower. So yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, the terrain, while it doesn't look terrible, it only looks even close to impressive when you have it on high. Alright, so water quality is on low, and then grass density is on low. Don't worry, there's still a ton of grass. Texture quality is on medium. I tried having it higher. My philosophy for PC gaming is if I have to put texture quality on ultra and everything else can suffer. But in this game, that didn't work out. I ended up going with medium for texture quality, and it's not too bad. Foliage visibility range is on ultra, because even when it's on high, grass will materialize in front of you. Trees will materialize in front of you, and it looks stupid. So you'll have, basically, if you don't put foliage visibility range on ultra, and you don't put number of background characters on high, you are going to see people and trees and grass constantly popping in front of you, and it looks stupid. Now, I think one of the reasons why I have to go with lower settings for other things is because I went so high on these. I mean, you notice like I choose Ultra for foliage visibility range instead of something else. Alright, detail level is on medium. It's okay there. It's not the end of the world. So let's go over to post-processing. Blur is off. Motion blur is off. If you like blur, more power to you. I don't like blur. I think everything looks more crisp without it. Anti-aliasing is off. There are some jaggies from time to time, but I rarely see them, if I'm honest with you. Like, they exist. I have found jaggies. I have come across them. But I keep it off. I don't mind. Bloom. All right, so let's talk about what I call the Witcher 3 experience, okay? What I figured out is a lot of the way they create atmosphere in the game is through this post-processing menu. Now, I played with all of this with my GTX 970. And with the GTX 970, I have a bunch of stuff on Ultra, okay? Like, that's cool in the game. But, you know, over here we do have to make concessions with the 960. With that said, the Witcher 3 experience and settings that I feel like you absolutely have to get the sky and certain, like, the atmosphere comes from these settings is the best way I can put it, all right? You turn these settings off, and this just looks like a generic PC game. You turn these settings on, and you have the ambiance and the atmosphere that makes the game impressive. So, with the 960, I sacrificed some stuff over in graphics so we could have what I feel really contributes to the experience. So bloom on, sharpening on, ambient occlusion SSAO, depth of field on, whatever chromatic aberration does, that's on. I turned it off, it seems to help. Vignetting, I turned that off. I think the game looks fantastic without it. And with it on, it seems to affect the frame rate. And then light shafts on. What's funny is I usually turn light shafts off in a lot of games. In this game, it's part of what makes the game look impressive. So that's it. I mean, there's not that many things to choose from. You know, there's the stuff right here. So let's not make you look at a screen all day. Let's go back into the game and show you what the game looks like. So look, we're at 48 frames per second. Remember, we were at 60 when we were like standing over there. Like not even that far away. We were at 60 frames per second. And now we're in the 50s. With the GTX 960 and with me insisting on having the post-processing effects on, the frame rate is going to move. But it's not the end of the world. Alright? This game actually doesn't quite have to have 60 frames per second to look good. Now some games do. Oh, some grass popped in up there. Some brown grass popped in. And that's with the foliage distance on, or yeah, foliage. With that distance on Ultra, some grass still popped in. Now, you might notice I have Afterburner going in the upper right-hand corner, and I have Fraps. They're both going in the upper right-hand corner. And what's interesting is, this is a 2 gigabyte VRAM graphics card. It's only using 1 gigabyte. Alright? And check this out. Check this out. Look at that. Top line, if you look at the very top line of MSI Afterburner up there in the green numbers, the GPU's at 70 or 71 degrees. That's no big deal. But look at the clock speed. 1443, guys. That's not a bad clock speed. So, I find it interesting that we can't keep 60 frames per second. We do have a lot of settings down. We're only using half of the RAM. There's more RAM to go. But the problem is, once I start turning things up, we run into some huge issues with stuttering. The game already stutters a little bit right now. Not a lot. Alright? It's not bad. I consider it playable. And I'm picky about these things. It stutters a little bit from time to time, and it's probably just because it's loading like a certain section of the map in, and I have the camera turned a certain way. So, anyway, look, we're at 45 frames per second. Now we're at 46, 45 frames per second. See? 45 in the upper right-hand corner frames per second. And these settings with the GTX 960, keep in mind I have a Core i7 for the processor, and I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, but the RAM is only DDR3. It's like 1600 speed RAM or something. I don't even know. It's not exotic. It's like commodity RAM. So if you try to turn things up, you're going to get a lower frame rate and you're going to get more stuttering. But we're only using half of the available RAM, so I find that super interesting. Alright, so this game totally looks like a Zelda game. It almost looks like the Zelda game that they've been previewing for the Wii U. If you look at those trees in the distance, foliage in the distance kind of has a watercolor look to it. And then even when it's up close to you, it's not realistic. It's like cartoony grass. Geralt looks not necessarily cartoony, but even at 1080p, 60 frames per second, everything almost maxed, Geralt doesn't look super realistic either. Hey, let me see if we can get a close-up of his face, because his face looks really good. You know, his pants look a little generic, but if we can get that camera on his face, look at that. What they did was, and even his hair, that's the basic hair, guys. That looks like Tress Effects almost. I mean, that's pretty good looking hair, especially considering that we have a lot of settings on medium. And then you can see his grizzled beard, his eyes. Now, am I saying this is the best looking thing you've seen in your life? No. But remember, it's a 960. It's an open world game. It's a frickin' Witcher game. And no, that looks pretty darn good. See, they made his pants generic. They made his shoulder pads shiny, which is cool. They made his swords a little bit shiny. And then they made his head look really good, though. Alright, so what time of day was it earlier? Because I figured out this cool trick. It must have been, might have been later in the day. But like the shadows, can I do it this way then? Probably not. Your shadow, depending on where you're standing, can be seen from very far away. And if you notice, the shadow shows both of your swords. So check that out. You see how you can see the shadow drawing the swords? I mean, it looks really good. It's a clever detail. If not clever, I mean, it's like a nice detail. But depending on where you stand, if you stand like in just the right spot and the sun is in the right spot and you're like usually kind of higher off the ground, your shadow can be seen very far away and it's still in perfect detail. I don't really know what time of day I would need to make it to show you that trick right now. So, oh, check this out. If you double, I'm using a joystick. I'm using an Xbox One controller. If you double click the left stick, he whistles for his horse. Oh, there's the horse. So that's pretty convenient. Because what happens is you think like, okay, I'm going to ditch the horse and walk around or whatever. And it's not a huge pain in the neck to get your horse back. Now the horse is a little bit difficult to steer. If you're just running down the road, it's not too bad. You double tap the A button to run with your horse in case you wanted to know. Oh, combat is it's still pretty convoluted. If you played I played The Witcher 2, right? I honestly was not impressed with The Witcher 2. I've got the GTX 970. I can almost max The Witcher 3 out with my 970. But The Witcher 2 just destroyed my 970. Like, I could not get any kind of impressive graphics out of The Witcher 2 with my graphics card. I just couldn't. And the combat was a little bit, I don't know if I'd say difficult, but it was a pain in the neck. I've read that they've streamlined it a little bit, and it doesn't seem as annoying in this game. Like I said, I didn't think it was hard in the last game. I just thought it was annoying. See, there's a lot of, this world feels very lived in. There's a lot of stuff going on when you walk around. Now, I'm trying to find the spot that I was at earlier in my 960 video. It kind of involved these red bridges. So let me get off the horse. You hold the B button to do that. Let me go in the water. And then while I'm doing that, I can show you the swimming is pretty smart in this game. It's not too difficult to control. So you hold the A button to swim faster. It says that in the corner. And then check this out when you dive. Which, by the way, like, underwater looks pretty good. They didn't make it all super cloudy. And again, it kind of looks like watercolors. It really kind of feels like a Zelda game. And maybe I'm stupid. You know, like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I feel like it kind of looks like a high-fidelity Zelda game. So, if you had terrain on Ultra, let me see if we can swing it. Maybe we can. Let's try it out. So go to Video, go to Graphics, go to Terrain Quality. Oh, by the way, like, you don't have to restart the game when you change settings, if that matters to you. Oh yeah, this feels choppy. Look, we went down to 40 frames per second, and when I swing the camera, it feels choppy. This is something I've noticed with the 960. Is the 960 is pretty good at, look, that bridge looks, I think that bridge looks better now that I changed terrain.
For a voyage.
Oh, it's telling me I got to turn back. I'm at the world's end. Yeah, now I got screen tearing. All right, see if we can find. Let me see if we can find a better. The red bridges has some cool parts where the sand looks really good and the bridges look really good, but I'm not overly familiar with the map yet to know exactly where those spots are. So I have terrain on ultra right now, and I feel like it does look a little bit better. Oh yeah, check out. He's wet and shiny now from being in that water. So with this 960, by the way, I have an EVGA GTX 960 for the Win Edition. It'll hold good frame rates, but if you push it too far, even though it's holding a good frame rate, it feels like it's chugging and they're stuttering and stuff. So it's really interesting, right? Like, I don't know if EVGA or NVIDIA or somebody made a conscious decision to try to make the game hold frame rates, but it'll hold a higher frame rate. Like, I'm still getting the same frame rate I was earlier, right? Like, I'm still getting 45, 46, but it feels choppier. And I'm telling you guys that because I try to be thorough. Here, let's get the horse back. I try to be thorough and really, really let you guys know what to expect. Because I could sit here and tell you, like, oh, look, it's 45 frames per second.
Go.
But then when you play it, it may be chugging and stuttering, and then you're disappointed, you know? You're like, wait a minute, he said it's 45 frames per second, but this doesn't feel like 45 frames per second. So I don't know where that bridge thing is that I was looking for. I'm a little bit disappointed in that.
Come on, Roach.
I don't want to make you guys watch me look for it, though. So what I'm going to do, and I just saw a little bit of grass pop in, but I'm sensitive to that stuff. Now, GTA 5, I see stuff pop in all the time, even with my 970, but they're really clever about where they put it. They put it where, like, your eye would be, you're driving cars and you're dodging traffic, so, like, you wouldn't notice it. The Witcher 3 makes things pop in front of you, so you notice it. Now, look, we're not even using an entire gigabyte of VRAM right now. And I have the foliage draw distance on maximum. So in my opinion, there's no real excuse for there to be as much pop in as I've been finding. It's not unbearable, alright? It's not the end of the world, but it is nitpicky. But no, I mean, the game looks really good. Here, what I'm about to do is make it nighttime. So you can get off your horse and you can meditate. That'll change the time of day. So let's make it dark. Till 10 p.m. Let's do, yeah, 10. You want it to be dark. It stays kind of daylight-ish all the way up until almost 9. Look at that. Now this is one of the reasons why I told you in the post-processing that there's what I call the Witcher experience. Like, there's a certain amount of ambiance. There, you can see it better here. When I walked away, you couldn't. Like the way the moon and the clouds and the light and everything is, and the way the lighting is. This isn't the world's best spot. What I'm going to do is I actually have some new game capturing a new game capturing solution coming in tomorrow.
Move it.
And it'll be even higher quality than this. And I should be in a position where I play the game more when that comes in. This is kind of like a preliminary video where I'm trying to show you, like, as fast as possible. Like, maybe you want to know now, like, should you go ahead and buy the game? So I'm trying to put this video up as quick as possible. Now, should you buy the game, obviously, because this is not a review. I'm not a game site that got a review copy 2 or 3 weeks early, or even a month early, because this guy's... There we go. Look how good that looks. Look how good that looks. You can see the moonlight rippling on the water. The moonlight coming through the clouds. Not that this is a review that's going to tell you whether or not you should buy the game, but maybe you're curious about, like, how well does it perform with the 960. So I think that looks pretty good. Seriously, for the settings I've chosen. Now here's the thing that they get really well. And this version of the graphics card in other games does really well too. Alright, this EVGA GTX 960 for the Win Edition. I noticed this on Grand Theft Auto 5. Here, I'm trying to move to a certain spot. And it's kind of difficult. Alright. So what I noticed is even better than some other graphics cards that I've tried, this graphics card is really good at making things pop. And I'm a sucker for pop, right? Like I'm a sucker for when things pop. So Geralt is like popping against the background really well. Like he's not blending into it whatsoever. And then the tree is really popping too. But then the sky is popping in multiple areas. If you look to the far right, you have some trees that are kind of faded out. And then you have some clouds above them. And then you have some sky without much cloud. And then you have more cloud above that. And you can tell all those layers of separation. There is so much that your eye can see and soak in. And then this tree to my right, that tree that's the closest to him, it just like it's wavering a little bit with the wind. By the way, the wind effects are really good for the atmosphere in this game. Check out the foliage, and this is with the foliage density on the lowest of settings. This is on low, so everything's kind of swaying independently. All the grass isn't swaying the same way. Like there's a lot of different types of grass that are swaying with different intensity. So the grass effects are really good. Let me end it. This is just going to be the quick video. I'm going to have oh look, there's the windmill. Poetic justice. Look at that. All right, let's show you the options one more time. Like I said, I know this isn't the most thorough video ever, but this is in the game world with the GTX 960, and it's funny, like right as I'm ending the video, I have found a spot that showcases all the differences. Look, there's your shadow over there. There's the reins from your horse. The grass is moving. The dilapidated building right there. And then as you move, see all those post-processing effects that I told you guys to try out? All those post-processing effects go from, see, this looks a little bit bland right there, straight ahead. That looks a little bit bland. But as you turn, so much atmosphere. You've got the shining, shimmering water. You've got the moon breaking through the clouds. You've got the trees with different levels of shadow. Like, everything's really well thought out. The presentation of this game is great. It's interesting. Like, this is what I would say about The Witcher 3 so far. And remember, I've only played it in 1080p. It looks good. It is a good looking game. Probably one of the better looking games out there, but at the same time it is kind of simple. Part of what makes it look so good is where they focused. Geralt he's not a flamboyant looking character. There's not a lot to him. He's got some pants, he's got some boots, he's got a little bit of chainmail. But they focused on giving him the flowing hair and the details in his grizzled face, and then they made 80% of his body bland. They made 20% of it a little bit interesting. You know, it's kind of simple. But they made good artistic choices, like the performance and visual, like as far as like frame rate and smoothness and all that. The performance versus visual fidelity situation kind of pays off. So, like I said, I'll be working on some more videos. I have better game capture software coming in. Not that this is bad game capture software. Or the whole setup. Like, I'm going to a new setup to do my future videos. Not that this is bad at all, but I'm trying to step it up to make it look even better. and I will have checked out some more stuff. And we'll have some more things to show you. Maybe a Griffin fight. Maybe I will have a Griffin fight in the next video. So this has been AI Gaming 1776. I am so glad that you stuck with me the whole way and watched this. This is The Witcher 3. It looks really good on the 960. You gotta turn some stuff down. It still looks good even with it turned down. We're in the 50s for the frame rate right now, but it does go down into the low 40s. It fluctuates. And if you want the experience, if you want the atmosphere, you got to have those post-processing effects on that I showed you. All right? You got to do that. Otherwise, it's actually... remember when I said a lot of the things in the game are simple looking? Like, even when things are set on Ultra, they're still kind of simple looking. So if you turn off those post-processing effects, it's just a PC game. It's okay. So I think a lot of the charm comes from those effects, but I could be wrong. You know, everybody, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Everybody sees things differently. So this has been AI Gaming 1776. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it helped you out. And next time, maybe we're going to kill a griffin. All right? Thank you very much. Y'all have a good night.